Welcome to the Roundtable at Pulaski Heights United Methodist Church, a podcast of discussions with substance. Join our staff and leaders of our church as we journey through topics that inform, engage, and inspire the daily life of our church.
Welcome to the Roundtable podcast. I'm Abbey Maynard, our pastor of community ministries, and this week we are speaking with our food pantry.
Hi, I'm Kathy Roberts, one of the co-chairs of the Food Pantry Ministry.
I'm Kathleen McMurray. I'm the pastor of Connecting Ministries here at the church.
I'm Louise Fox. I work with Kathy in the food pantry.
Well, thank you all so much for being here. We want to just get started with what does this ministry do? Can you tell us a little bit about it for those who may not know?
Well, I have some fresh numbers, so I might share that for starters. This past month in October, we served 406 individuals. That's 109 families, and gave out 130 plus bags. And those include the 30 bags that we give to UAMS Cancer Institute patients.
Wonderful.
I love this ministry because we involve so many people in our church. We have a lot of Sunday school classes that bring food every month. We even have some small groups, like 3 young mamas in our church provide 100 sacks of powdered milk every single month. And they have all year long. And then just we have some anonymous people who will just bring up 50 or 60 cans of vegetables. So it's not just a group of us working on Tuesday and Wednesday morning. There's a whole bunch of people behind the scenes that work, and I love that. It involves a whole lot of people.
Yeah. So for those that don't know, the food pantry, we collect food on Sundays. We collect it throughout the week if people want to bring it up to the church, and then we distribute on the first Wednesday of every month, right?
Correct.
What are the times for that again?
We do that from 8 to 10 every Wednesday.
Every first Wednesday.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes.
But the day before, we bag up the food.
Okay.
Yes, and we have a lot of men and women in there bagging up the 130 bags of food.
The other thing I think special about this ministry is Louise and I kind of made a commitment to make it fun. So every other month we do something fun for the families. Like we gave out chili fixins, including the hamburger this month. We've done Cinco de Mayo. We've done hot dog picnic summer thing. We've done, the children made these boxes that have everything to make a birthday cake in it.
Oh, how fun.
Along with the sprinkles and the frosting and everything. And so we try to do something fun, and I think that our families really do enjoy and appreciate that.
Well, and something like a birthday cake, you know, we so often when we think of poverty or when we think of helping our neighbors that are hungry, you know, it's like, well, we just need to give the minimum. But like, as folks sharing God's abundance and joy, you know, that birthday cake, those joyful additions can mean a lot. So I think that's really cool.
We had I'm sorry.
Excuse me. We learned a lot from that because you can bake a cake with just a cake mix and a can of Sprite. Did y'all know that?
I did not.
Don't have to spend money on the oil or the eggs.
Or the eggs.
That is so awesome. Well, awesome.
And that reminds me of a story, too, that happened just this last month when we did the chili fixins. There was a lady, I would say she was in her 30s, so it was her first time, and she had 2 adults and 1 child in her family. And I said, would you like a bag of chili fixins, complete with the hamburger meat? And she teared up and said, I cannot remember the last time we had chili. And stories like that every month where you just become so grateful for what you have, but you just enjoy seeing their gratefulness for such a small thing, a pot of chili. So it's, that's why we do the fun things.
Another fun story that kind of goes along with that is Kathy and I were with our group. We were up on Woodlawn giving out food. Remember, back in the spring and early fall and winter, some cold days before we moved downstairs. But this man in a truck drove by and wanted to know what we were doing. And so we told him, and he flipped out $100 bill and gave it to us because he was so moved by what we were doing. And he continues to do that now.
Oh, wow.
So he's not there every month, but almost every month. We don't know his name. We don't know where he lives. He just loves our ministry, loves this church. He doesn't even go to our church, but he loves what we're doing, and that's his way of being generous and sharing what he has to help us. Isn't that a great story?
That is so beautiful.
Well, and I think y'all are doing something really special especially with Arkansas Potluck. So would you talk a little bit about how that distribution day works?
Sure. We go there now on the Tuesday morning. We have gentlemen that go pick up the produce. It's a lot. It's a ton of food, literally. Pick it up and bring it to the church, and then Louise has a group that gets together and sorts it, because some things have sort of gone bad just waiting to be picked up, and some had to be refrigerated and weren't. So they go through it all, get it in the refrigerator, and then what we've done that is kind of fun is we have it out on tables, and they're able to get out of their car and pick 5 items. So they have a little control and a little choice, and they love that. So that's been a good
Another way we give them control is we put out, instead of just putting a box of cereal in their bag, we have all the cereal out there, and they can pick their cereal. And if there are children in the car, I want that, I want Rice Krispie treats, and all that. So anyway, it does give them a sense of control.
And that's huge. That's huge for when we feel like things are so out of control and not in our control, to be able to say, like, you have agency. You're not, just on the receiving end of this from us, but like you have some agency and some choice, even though a lot of things are choiceless.
Right.
That's awesome.
Another wonderful thing about potluck is what we don't use, we put in a box and take it back over there for their compost pile. So it's a cycle. Isn't that great?
Good.
That is fantastic. That is so cool.
That is really neat. So how did you both get involved in this ministry?
Well, I started in probably 1990. When we first started it, it filled kind of a niche in the community in that we took food to people's homes. They didn't have to go somewhere. And so we would get names from the health department or from schools or other agencies, and Sunday school classes would sign up for a month, and then on Saturdays we would go out and deliver the food. I loved that. I loved being in their homes. I loved getting to know them. We don't have a lot of time when they just drive through. But there was a decision made that they probably weren't going into the best of neighborhoods at times, and there were some safety concerns. And that's when we moved it into the gathering hall. Louise and I both retired about that time, and we were just helping every time. And it just started growing. Then COVID hit. Then we were partnered right in the gathering hall with the diaper bank, and so we started getting lots of young families. And we just said, we think we can do this and make it grow and make it exciting and fun. And Judy Strom, who was the founder, was ready to retire. She came to us, which was a nice way to have that happen. And we just took over and made it a full-time gig.
And Judy, and her friends who founded the food pantry ministry many years ago, they're still active in it. Like, some of them were over there this morning sorting out beans from big bags into small bags. So they're still very involved. They don't do any of the heavy lifting and all that. And like I said, we have all ages. We even had some little Boy Scouts fill some bags one night, and they were so excited about that. But it's our passion. It's our passion.
So, do you have a favorite story from this ministry?
Well, my favorite is about the man who comes over and hands us
Yes.
$100 bill.
That's such a
I
powerful
love
story.
That.
That really
I
is.
know.
And to do that with anonymity
Yes.
and consistency, that he's building a relationship with y'all in this ministry in a very unique way.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
really neat.
And we have some ladies who direct traffic out there, and they know that when he rounds, they'll say, "Here he comes," so that
So he
we're there
doesn't
with
have
a
to go through
smile.
the line.
Right. And with a smile on our face and all that. That's one of my favorite stories. And then another one is I received a phone call winter before last from a man said, "You don't know me, but we know y'all." And he is Hunters. He works in the organization Hunters Feeding the Homeless. And so a lot of hunters over the state give food to this place and they distribute it. And so he brought us some venison, and we gave out last winter some pound packages of venison, and they loved that.
That's awesome.
So, yeah. I love that story.
I have a fun story too. When we were out in the front parking lot, there was this young couple that came through, and they were always smiling and happy, and took great. I don't know. They enjoyed the fact that I couldn't communicate very effectively with them, but they were always smiling and laughing and happy. So I named them Familia Feliz, happy family. So every time they'd come by, I would start with that. That's about the extent of my Spanish, but we've communicated in some way. And one month they came through and had a bouquet of flowers for me. And it's like their generosity. They have so little, and they just wanted to say thank you. That was a sweet story.
That is a sweet,
Sweet,
story.
sweet little couple.
That the generosity and gratitude, they're contagious.
Yes.
When we share that, when we experience that grace of God, we want to share it more, and that's that's how God's grace works, right? Like that's the whole reason why we do what we do, is because we receive
Absolutely.
and we want to share. Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's amazing.
And every carload, they're always, "Thank you so much," and sometimes you'll see a little tear in their eye, and of course then we have a tear in our eye. So it's just, it goes back and forth.
Yeah. You mentioned the Spanish-speaking family. Do you have a lot of families that are part of the Spanish-speaking community?
I would say 50% of
50%.
our families currently are Hispanic, but we have 2 volunteers that help, and that's been such a blessing. And when they pull up and see one of those gentlemen walking toward them, their faces light up. They're like, "Oh, yes, someone is going to understand me, and I'm going to understand them." That has been a real blessing. So we're able to share more information with them.
Yes.
Having that. And we've done a lot of, like for our Thanksgiving bags, the flyer that Michael is preparing is going to have Spanish on one side and English on the other side. So we're trying to do that as much as possible.
Good.
So for folks who want to get involved with the food pantry, what can they do? How can they be involved? And who should they contact?
They can always contact one of us or the church. We got a lot of volunteers through the Connect Fair. So we have a lot of volunteers. We can't use every volunteer every month because we would be running into each other. But I just want everybody to know we have your name. We will be calling you, maybe not every month, but we appreciate all the people who have volunteered, and it's such a blessing to us.
Louise does a wonderful job. If anyone says they want to volunteer, she plugs them in immediately. Again, it may not be every month, but we really want people to know that if they do want to volunteer, we have a place for them. So,
What are some of the ways that people can volunteer?
thank you notes. Kathleen's grandmother does thank you
Yes.
notes. Because anyone that makes a contribution, we want to do a personal note to them. Not the first Tuesday, but the Tuesday before the first Wednesday, we bag. Wednesdays, we distribute. We're going to start now doing once a week, having a scheduled date where people can come help stock the shelves. Louise and I do most of that ourselves now, but we want to incorporate more volunteers into that.
Awesome.
What else?
Just the fact that we have so many people that bring food, even though they are not in the food pantry working. That is such a huge help to us that they bring food. And like in our Sunday school class, we are responsible for peanut butter and jelly. And not everybody goes to the store to buy it, but we have 2 or 3 shoppers in our Sunday school class who do that for our class, and then we repay them. It's just, there's just so much to do, you know. It's just, even if they come to the Connect Fair and say, I want to do it, and we'll say, okay, I'll call you in June. That's fine with them, you know. It's just, they just want a part of it, whether it's a big part or a little part. We just love their enthusiasm.
And if people want to bring the food that you were talking about, is there a list?
We have a list, and we would be happy. We had those at the Connect Fair. Give it to anybody that wanted it. But one thing I would strongly encourage is any Sunday school class or group that's not currently participating in our monthly program, consider doing that, because the 100 a month has now grown to 120. So new classes, we could get them to piggyback on a class that's doing 100 to get us our extra. So if someone is in a Sunday school class and they're not doing it, I would encourage them to talk to the other members and see if they could do that.
And so how that works is that a group or a Sunday school class commits to, did you say 100?
100 a month.
100 a month of the something that is needed.
Yes, like the staff does.
The staff does saltines.
Crackers.
Yes.
The choir and UMW. I think we have a new name now too. United Methodist Women do all the cereals. So, and then various Sunday school classes have canned foods and different things they do.
Perfect.
Well, thank you both so much for being here, and thank you all for joining us at the Roundtable from Pulaski Heights, a podcast of discussions with substance. We're so glad to have you, and we hope you'll join us next week.